And welcome to another episode of DIOTALK. I'm Dio. Let's talk. First of all, happy Women's Month. Els, this is your month.
Let's go.
Yes. I would like to welcome my guest today, Nick Harris, Elvis Matos, and the amazing Elle Crichton. Welcome to the show, guys. So this is an episode that I've been cooking up. I know my man Elvis has been waiting a while to talk about this. So today we're going to do our best to talk about relationships. Something that my man constantly preaches on social media, tries to educate the public on. And we also have the Els, who's a psychologist and blocking mental blockage, right? Am I saying it right?
Mental blocks, yeah. Limiting beliefs, all that.
We have her amazing opinion today here. And then we got Nick, who just keeps it real. I mean, it's almost like we got the Avengers here. Assemble, yes. I apologize early for my listeners. I'm not feeling too well, so I'm going to do the best that I can to give my thoughts and whatnot. But I'm gathered here with these amazing people, so let's get it started. Boom. So what's going on, guys? I see you guys doing your thing, Els, especially you going live.
And that's because you joined live.
I have a shirt on today, guys.
Yes. Oh, and you have sleeves, which is most important. Always showing your guns.
Keeping hidden day.
Yeah, you're gonna hurt somebody. All right, so guys, so like when it comes to relationships, right? Like, what is the first thing that comes to you guys' minds?
Complexity.
I hear that.
I'll be honest with you, a lot of stuff just comes all at once when I think about a relationship. I'm gonna go back like when I first think about relationship. For me, it's memories. When I think of relationship, I think of memories.
Yeah, I think of loyalty, reciprocation.
I hear that. I think of relationships. I think of stress. That's the first thing. That's the first feeling I got is stress. But it, I
learned about stress after I got in the relationship. Didn't know it was that crazy. I'm like, shit, damn, that's what that is.
And then there's like Elvis said, it's the complexity, right? Because there's so many types of relationships, right? Whether you're in in a romantic relationship, whether you're relationship with a friend or family, it's always not very easy.
That is correct. Everything you just talked about right there, pointing all of those out, they're all what? Relationships. Everything in life is relationships. You don't go through anything without that. You don't go through anybody or any level of progress or success in life. Even when your failures come about, you don't go through that technically by yourself. You do. You go through the complexities of what that trial entails. But overall, everything that you aspire to become, you view others who aspire towards that. Everything that you understand you don't want to be like, you see it in others' image or whatever type of world-breaking event you've been through, whatever experience might have hit you. And so the culmination of all of those things, Nick said, memories, really ties into that because you build your identity off of the understanding of what you go through in life. What you know has been your life, what you know has been the evidence, has been through the relationships. It's only known through the people who knew you, through the impacts that you had ultimately. So Elle said it, loyalty and reciprocity. Through that bonding, ultimately is what eventually culminates in what becomes relationships, what we understand as relationships once we're all past and we're gone. So it comes in so many different forms, like you yourself said, Dio, to bring it back around.
Mhm.
And you all part in that just now.
It's also like connection, right? Because you to entail in these relationships that you have to have some type of connections. Like it's like, for me at least, it's difficult to connect with people and engage in some form of relationships, you know, whether it's friendship or you know, like when I first met my wife, like I was single for like 5-6 years, right? Like before that, I was, you know, I was in my first relationship ever, and after that, you know, crashed down and burned. Like I noticed I'm the type of person that, like, when I say I don't want something in my life, it's gonna take something. It's gonna take time, like this huge amount of time for me to go back to that. And I, you know, in some cases, I think it's cool, but then like when you see the time that's passed, it can be very scary.
I can agree, and it does depend on how you look at it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What you make of the experience that you're going through, right? If you yourself are living it up in that sense and you give it that level of credibility that it's that daunting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you kind of create that space where you allow yourself to agree that it is. So if you flip that, it becomes rather a challenge that you ultimately do overcome. So long as you always know that you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
I think we all remind each other everything that we go through. We're going to be all right.
Yeah. It's, else like you focus on like trying to help people not get blocked, but I know you like when you approach anybody who's seeking your help or assistance, like, you know, do you encounter a lot of people having these difficult mental blocks because of certain relationships they have in their life?
Absolutely. A lot of my clients, they see the surface level, which is mainly physiological things like I'm gaining weight, I'm stressed, there's just a lot of things at surface level. But you know, as a coach, as a mindset coach, you got to keep digging deeper, like try to find the underlying cause of it. And what we often see is that it's from a broken relationship, whether it's between the daughter and the mom, with the father, someone who, you know, kind of messed with them in the past. It just always went right back to that. And I thought, I mean, it's kind of interesting that you asked me that question because as I'm thinking about it, that's really the root cause of a lot of the things. How well you or how highly you value that person, and if it's not reciprocated back, that's a broken relationship right there, you know. And often causes it comes down to communication too. So yeah.
Facts.
I like that, and I can admit I'm one person. I had a lot of broken relationships growing up, and I'm not gonna lie, I went through some crap this past summer too, but it's just like, for me, kind of shut me down a little bit. It did mess my communication up because I'm the type person that if I'm in a certain space, I'm just gonna shut everybody out. And I got touched, like, yeah, it's due to broken relationships, you know, like things you thought what it's supposed to be, but in reality is how you have it up here, what you think is going to be. In reality, it's really not even. It's like just straight down there.
Is it like,
you know?
self-sabotage, almost like you have this expectation of something, and like when you get it, then like, oh, like
this ain't what I thought it was. You know, like, for example, my relationship with my father. I really don't have.
Same here.
My mother was my father. So with that being said, me and him, we got a good relationship now, but he never really was my father. We have more of a friendship than a father. But then, you know, I don't get that mad at it no more because I realized he wouldn't have been a good dad to begin with. So it's better off to have him as a friend. But it sucks because I'm like, well, damn, you know, my mom had to do 2 jobs instead of just one.
Yeah, it's like,
You
what
know,
the fuck with you all this time?
You know what I'm saying?
I feel the same way with my dad. Especially my dad is Dominican. Maybe Elvis can relate. Like Dominicans are like very proud of being the man and the culture, and which is, you know, admirable. But like, especially my dad, he's an interested character, right? He's not somebody that I've learned throughout the years. You can't just fuck with him to fuck with him, right? But yet he has this things like, you're my son, you're my son. And, you know, because I'm your son, I'm supposed to love you. Or like all my life, I felt like just because you're my dad doesn't mean I have to feel this love. And I, you know, the times I partook with him growing up, like I almost like taught myself how to lie. Like I gotta make believe that I love you, right? When in reality, I don't even know you. You know, you say you're my dad. My mom says that's your dad. My sister, that's like daddy. I'm like, but I don't know him. I don't know him. I don't know him as a person. I don't know him as a man. You know, I'm here like I found myself growing up in a very uncomfortable form, calling somebody father or daddy or dad, when like it was never, that feeling was never born. It's very like it. Sometimes I call myself like cringing because I don't, you know, you say where you are and you can be that person, but like, where the fuck were you? Right?
Let's begin.
And I don't want to come out as being judgmental, right? But like, that's like the first question you ask you ask yourself.
Yeah, that's true. The one thing I learned with these titles that get tossed around is that people just assume the identity once the title's there. And like that's mom, dad, uncle, brother, sister, whatever, you know. And I tell people all the time, just because those are like the I would say bylaws, like you're automatically that, doesn't mean you're actually that, you know. I tell people all the time, you got to earn that. You have to earn it. That's one thing I tell people all the time. People, you know, they take, oh, well, yeah, that's my daughter. No, okay, well, you ain't really been her mom since she was born, or you ain't really been her dad since she was born, you know? Like, you can't just sit there. I always hated that when people, you know, they do stuff like that. And that just makes like a whole idea with relationships even worse, because you like, it pushes you away even more. Be like, yeah, remember my dad, he came to my 8th grade graduation. He got kicked out because he was drunk. He said, yeah, that's my son. And I'm looking at this dude. I said, no, you're not my dad. Get out. Like, I'm telling my son, like, you're not my dad. Like, you got to go. Like, and I'm just like, you never earned it, you know? People love getting them titles, and they truthfully never earned it at all, in my honest opinion.
So much to unpack, dog. What? Listen, shout out to all the mothers, future mothers, past mothers, current mothers. Moms are everything just as much as dads. Dads are just as much as everything as moms. Like, there's understanding here. You can't have one without the other. But for the sake of the situation, I grew up with my mom, man. Just my mom. My mom is all I had, and then my little brother came a little later. My father, from what I understood, he was arrested and deported. Arrested for, I think, for a year or two, and he was sent to the pen in jail, and then deported. I never met him. I didn't actually learn who he was. Matter of fact, it came in kind of like phases for me. I didn't I didn't know that the man I associated as my dad wasn't my dad until I was 7 or 8. Then at 9, I found out who my father really was through a photograph. He was in gray. And then after that point, my first encounter with my father was until I was 14, 15, 16, give or take. I was already a teenager. And circling back now, I'm a 30-year-old grown man. Well, before I get there, actually, 26, I have my first son, my first and only son so far. I'm blessed. And now, fast forward to my 30th. Listen, man, it's like a whole situation. I got to tell you, we grow up with the understanding. We grow up with these expectations. We grow up with our environment, the way that we see and grow with things. We look at those as associations and we determine that that's what we're supposed to technically be either getting or doing, give or take, depending on how you associate that and grow up with it and download it. So what I argue is our parents were exactly who they needed to be. They did exactly what they were supposed to, because we are where we are right now because of that fact. And it took me so long to learn and understand that for myself, because having the one parent, it was extremely difficult. She had to try to play both roles, and unfortunately got lost in the fathership role more so than the mother. And I wound up losing both parents, if you really think about it in that sense. Mm-hmm. So fortunately, there's a good and a bad when it comes to, figuring out what your balance is there. It's not bad, nor is it like the best thing ever. You have to find that middle ground. But to find a healthy understanding as to why our parents are and why they happened and what the expectations tend to be for us and what we really should be relying on and getting, it all comes and stems from how we grow through life with the info that we have. I didn't learn more about being Dominican until I looked for it. They couldn't teach me. They only knew so much, or my mom only did. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I was a full-grown now with the want and the will and the drive to learn more about my history, because I want that excellence for myself. And so I had to learn to figure out more from within me, not knowing that I needed to do that as I was younger. I made a lot of mistakes. Nick mentions this, that, you go through your relationships and you struggle because of how you're raised. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a testament to that myself, but I'm grateful because I'm here talking to y'all now about this, rather than talking into the wall, depressed and getting ready to do some negative stuff, because, there are so many people out there with no outlet wondering how to figure this out. And when in reality, you are who you are because you have something else that's bigger for you. So I'm now in a position where I'm about to help my father come back into the country.
Salute.
I'm the only way. I'm his only way back. Yo, you know how freaking humbling that was to me? I could have been mad. I could have been angry. I could have said no. Yo, I have his whole life in my hands. Like, I could determine if that man comes back to the U.S. or not. If I was any other me prior to me now, I would probably revel in that the worst way, or not even care. Who knows? But what I do know is, because of what I've been through, and so much of what I've been through happens too often, I don't want to keep adding to that negativity. So for some reason, God just said, yo, this is a positive thing. You're going to be somebody that puts somebody else in position, and it happens to be a dad. So now my son is going to get me and my dad in his life, which is where I could see not a fixing, but a better piece of art with the pieces that were broken.
See, I feel like the way you explain like the phases of your dad, like that's actually the best way I can explain my dad. I had him phases, right? And then I'm also stuck in the predicament of bringing my dad back, because he also got deported, right? But I'm not conflicted as I totally see an opposite of your decision making. Like, you know, I had no problem of bringing him back, but I also have to realize I'm just a tool.
Right.
You know, and it sounds like I'm bitter and fucked up, but I'm not. I just see shit. I see shit like I see shit how it is. I'm just a tool. Don't call. You don't seek. You don't do nothing. But you call to give me an update about this. And then when you call, it's like every other Sunday when you're alone and you're drinking your wine and it starts to catch up on you. That's when you choose to remember me. And but yeah, I had opportunity. I had opportunities to stay and grow like my mother. You know, I had opportunity to stay with her, and they'll constantly mention that to me, right? But my question is, you don't understand. You put me in a predicament to make a choice. Why would you put somebody that's so young, that's been through so much at a very young age, back against the wall to make this life-changing decision?
Because it was supposed to be you.
Right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's it. It was supposed to.
I chose me. Every time my mom tried to pick me up from PR, I always said no. I made it hell. Even though living in PR wasn't such a great, but I felt like even though it was, I felt more safer there than with her. And same thing with my dad. I don't know you, bro. You put me against the ball at a young age. You know, at 7 years old, I had to really 7 years old. I really had to look at my life and be like, all right, these are the relationship I have around me, right? This is not good. I only knew this is not good, and this is gonna take me somewhere I don't want to be. I don't know what that want to be is, but my gut feeling is not good. Right? Here, it's not great, but it's manageable. And people sit there and say, "Oh, you ran." I didn't ran. You put me in a predicament against my own to choose me. To not be where it's not good. I'd rather be where it's not great. Right? You get what I'm saying?
You know what's so fascinating about this? Man, listen, I'm supposed to be your version, dog. Like, I don't have anything. I've been homeless 3 times now because I put my chips in other people. And I was shown over and over again, marriage and not marriage, all of it, that when people decide to choose themselves, they will. And they do. No matter what I do, no matter what I gave, no matter how much I tried to fill that hole with me then, not knowing what I needed to do for myself, like you're doing for you, I could have saved myself a lot. But I guess in a way, I can't conceptualize that reality for me no more after only growing more this way. You know, now I'm only here now because this mentality caught y'all's attention to this degree, just like yours catches mine. And it's just so fascinating to see that we went through such similar circumstances and we chose exactly what was the best for us. It's not bad or good. It's got to be sensible and healthy. And that's kind of the point is most people don't even have the ability to know how to decipher these things that we had no choice but to figure out. And so bringing that here, give that ability to others, like you always said, because I see your talks all the time. It's for others to learn as well, for others to grow and know that they're not alone.
And it's
picture.
It's difficult because this is go back to now, present time relationship where we, and as you're talking about, like me not be able to connect with people. This is what you know. We could sit in the same room. You probably connect with 10 people. I'm still in my corner, feeling okay, not bothered, not worried that I'm supposed to build relationship. You know, so in one way or another, it affects. You get what I'm saying? Like it's difficult because, you know, like 2022, right? We live in an age and where, you got to make people like you. You it doesn't matter if they hate you. You got to make them move. In order for you to grow and move and be successful, you got to make them like. And I find that, and that's something that I've been told all my life, and I find that so irritating. Like I'm like in Spanish, we have this thing called labioso, right? Labioso. Like you got game. You could talk, right? You know, you got that nice talk. You know what I'm talking about, Nick, right? And I can play that card. And I know if I play that card, I'm very good at it. I'm more good at it than 95% of the people around me, right? But I choose not to because it's work, unnecessary work. It's unnecessary work. It's like you trying to make your boss like you, and you know they're a piece of shit. And then 2-3 years, you're doing this. It gets tiring. And then next thing you know, you fucking blow yourself up, get fired because it consumed you. It's so exhausting.
I don't know why I'm still smiling about it too, because you're exactly right. I'm not in any position to want to like say, but this low to the T. But I don't know why positivity continues to haunt me. It's just weird.
Els, what's up, Els? I see you quiet. Spit some knowledge, y'all.
I think she's writing down notes.
I need a woman's
I'm a
perspective.
note taker.
Probably analyzing everybody.
No. I'll just say what my first thought was. Dio was talking. I guess it really comes down to your intentions. Like, yeah, if you're a
My
people pleaser,
intentions are good. Please don't make me feel misunderstood.
Yeah, you're gonna get burnt out. You know, like it brings back to the expectations that we're talking about when you are getting to know people or kissing ass to other people, and you're getting mad because your expectations on them, meaning for them to act in a certain way that you want them to act.
Mm-hmm.
That's controlling, manipulating, and that's why you're burnt out.
Yeah.
So just if you want to meet somebody, just meet somebody, you know, and just go in and just wanting to know them, not with any expectation of what they're gonna do for me, you know, or how they're gonna be in my favor in the future. Just genuinely listening to their story, I think that's fulfilling enough. And that's what true relationship is. But we don't want to get too deep on that part. I want to talk about also, for me, it's so interesting that you guys, Nick, you two, you had a bad relationship with your father, right?
Yeah,
we got daddy issues. Shit. No.
So,
Don't do it to me, Els. Shit.
No, I'm not.
She was writing that shit down. She's like, all right, 1, 2. All right, my talking point. Here we go.
No. I just wanted to make sure, okay, because I grew up a little bit different. I had both my parents, but you know, I'm Samoan, come from the Pacific Islands. We came in search of the American dream, you know, in Long Beach, California. So I grew up in Long Beach, California, surrounded by gang violence. But my parents were, you know, Christian missionaries. All they knew was the church. And when you come into an area like that, in the hood, if you will, it's not just a cultural change, a faith change, but it's an environment change. And being a first gen, I couldn't connect to my parents. So I still, even though I had both of them, I had issues with living up to their expectations on us because they sacrificed for us, but we were still caught up in a different type of influence. And I guess it wasn't until my oldest brother, he actually was killed by a rival gang member. That is when our eyes, not just us, but my parents' eyes like opened up. Like, okay, this is the reality. You know, we can't live in this religious facade, if you will. And so that's what I kind of grew away from my faith and also grew away from my parents' expectations. I didn't care anymore, but I was also angry. I was bitter because I felt like I needed my parents' relationship. I just need them to be there for us. But they just went to God. And I didn't understand at the time, but Elvis brought it up too. It's like, yeah, at that time, but when you grow up and you go and you want things for yourself and you start to seek it for yourself, then I start to understand on that perspective of why I rely on God now. But I had to go through hell just to get to that point. And so I look at them in a different view now. It's like they had to do what they had to do for them, but now I have to release that pressure on them, and I gotta do what I gotta do for me, so that we all can move forward, I guess, in our own perspective and our own faith walk. Sorry, but I guess it just goes back down to releasing that expectation, the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I wasn't gonna get going on y'all, and I'm not judging y'all. I'm just saying, I just had to relate.
I think it's difficult because we don't have a life manual but the Bible. If people preach, it's like a manual on what not to do, and then we have our parents that don't know what they're supposed to do, right? There's not really any foundation. We go through what our last descendant did, right? Rather than, when I look at things sometimes, and I do the best of my ability, right? I see things that I do like and I see what I don't like. And unfortunately, in my view, maybe it's because I go with my grandparents or a different era, right? I don't see multiple things. I only see yes or no or black and white. So, like, when I make a decision, it's either good or bad, right? It's so I take out every good thing I see and I implement it on myself. If I don't like, I discard it. And that's everything in every individual. I can see this where I could do better. And even in my business, I see this where I could do better. I don't try to hate or discredit or whatever. Those are small things that inspire me to be a better person, and I'm not saying I'm the greatest person. I'm just saying I try. And things that I think as a parent, and these relationship, we can also do the same, but with the mindset of that, example, like, I fall a lot of times. Like I meet these people that I admire so much, right? And like I'm very impressed. I'm not very impressed, right? So I'm like, feel like I become obsessed, and I just want them to like me, and come to realize that, like, just because you like something doesn't mean they like you back. And you could be like here, preaching them, but that as soon as you walk out, they're like shitting it on you. It's like when that thing, idols become rivals. So I find myself falling in that category a lot of time because I'm a person that I really don't connect with people. And most of the time I'm trying to avoid people. And when I'm in gatherings, I don't have that balance because my upbringing essentially was either yes or no. I'm either in or out. There's no middle ground. And that affects me in this timeline today because I have no balance. I only have I'm either all in or all out. And that's why for me, at least, it tends to be difficult having any type of relationship, either with my mother or my sister, or my wife or my stepdaughters, or it could even affect my son. But that's me.
And that's beautiful. That's you right now. That's you culminated in the understanding of what you encompass thus far. The beauty of it even further is that you can understand and comprehend you to that degree, which only means there's so much more of you that you have yet to even understand and explore as of yet. And the more you continue to push yourself and challenge yourself in this way, the more you'll come to understand why forgiveness for your world isn't so much about the world deserving it. Because if we were all born to be judge, jury, and executioners, I think we would be marching to a different tune for the most part. And so to know that we all get born with this innate free will, if you will, in a world filled with dangers, in a world filled with negativity, it's almost beautiful irony. You get in a way misplaced in this place to freely roam, but only because of these certain things that you have to follow guidelines if you so choose to. So it's like you end up balancing things that you don't have a manual for. We can apply that to almost everything that we go through in our lives. And in part, really, that's a part of that whole process, man. Is you think about the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, not for the glam and what we know them, but you put your family and friends in those time frames, and you, in a realistic way, you put yourself in those imaginative shoes to think about how the environment was then, what people were like, and what people like us were expected to be like. She mentioned LA. Nick mentioned his father and how he's growing up. You're mentioning your moms, and I'm mentioning my moms. And we both battle with this whole thing about our dads never being there at all. And so we all have these different but similar journeys that we go through, only to ever understand that it has to go through us for it to continue manifesting further. We have to accept that it went through us. So it's not so much that it's happening to any one of us on purpose. And trust me when I tell y'all, I don't believe this all the time. Like, there's days that I feel like the world is definitely out to get me. But that's the human aspect of things. Once we get that feeling of it and we go through the emotion, you realize.
And that feeling, I don't mean to cut you off, but that feeling right there, you describe the world coming at you like that. For me, is normal. If I don't have that feeling, I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Right. Because that's the only thing I ever knew.
And so you associate that, but you understand that there's a better language. There's an even greater challenge to be had when you challenge even that about yourself. You understand that and you accept it. Now challenge what you don't like or don't agree with or don't accept. And you ask yourself more why you behave, why you challenge it. And instead of dead ending yourself just for the sake of knowing that you can conquer you, of course, if you become a master, you're gonna feel unsatisfied in a world that continues to move. The only way you can feel like you're continuing to grow properly or for a purpose is to always remember that you still have room to grow. We're children of this life. In a way, we're students of this world, students of this life, way better than we are, striving to be masters of anything. If there was really supposed to be a dad manual, but I think we would have found it by now. I think
you're right.
Well, I don't know. Right. They got dummies for dad, so
boom.
Dummy had it right.
Yeah.
They ain't got it right. But no, there's really no manual. But I like to say something. When you said like basically the world's coming at you and everything, that's what I always feel like. I realized something. I'm 32, right? I'm about to be 33 March 11th. And my 32 years of life so far, what I learned is at a young age, I wasn't thinking about what the average 11-year-old was thinking about. I was thinking about stocks, real estate, flying somewhere to another planet and stuff like that. My mom used to look at me like I was crazy. My brother sometimes, my older brother, he'd be like, "You little damn weirdo," like, But that was always me because I used to watch certain movies. I sit there and watch TV with my mom. Then when my mom falls asleep, I'm flicking the channels and I find something weird to watch. I'm like, oh man, yo, that looks interesting. But the thing is, I realized that us as human beings, yeah, the world is always going to come after us, regardless of what. There's always going to be some type of test for that. The thing is, I believe we're all like these super geniuses, but a lot of us don't want to go through them rings of fire, them hoops, them levels. And like you were saying, Elvis is like, okay, why this, why that, this, that, and the third. If you don't sit there and take the chance to even see why is it this or why is it that, you're never going to evolve, you're never going to grow, and we'll sit there and just be stuck in the same place over and over. And then that's where our anger comes from, our buildup and everything else, just being constantly stuck. And then when it goes to the relationships, whether it's new ones or old ones, you either carrying the burdens from the old ones into new ones, or you're never even given the opportunity for the old ones to even be fixed because you're so angry, you're frustrated, you're not willing to take that step anywhere because you're just like, you want everything to stand still. And one thing we all gotta remember, time don't stop for nobody. Time is not your best friend. Time will keep you moving. Yeah. So that's what I really be thinking, because I could, like I said earlier, yeah, me and my dad, we didn't have a great relationship. Now, as I think about it years later, I said the best thing he could have did was actually stay the hell away from me. You know, he wasn't no good for me. You know what I mean? Later on in life, yes, he's like an asset to me now. We okay. I'm not saying we the best buds, but I know he got my back in certain situations. I got his back in certain situations. We'll talk on a daily basis. We don't see each other all the time, but we'll talk.
So you're able to like rebuild some type of relationship, right?
Yeah,
which is not bad, you know.
Which is better. Yeah, it's something is better than nothing. And like I always tell people, I'm the type person, even though life hits me hard with a lot of shit. Like Dio, you already know. Elvis, I believe you already know. Yeah, I got shot a year ago. You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed to be here. I'm good with that.
Happy to have
let it go.
Yes, I
Like
answer that.
so, but also I'm the type person, I love just putting good energy in this world. Even if I don't get it back, I'm cool with that. You dig what I'm saying? I just love to put positive vibes, good energy out on this, that, and the third. And going back to what we said earlier, when you think about relationship and memories, I'm the type person in general, this is how I overcame a lot of things, is to focus on memories. Because we're always, it's never going to be all good. It's never going to be all bad. Somewhere down the line it balances out. But my thing is, I focus on memories a lot, because when it comes to memories, I don't care who you are, I want to just build good memories. That way, whenever I'm feeling down, or if I'm mad, or just something just frustrates me, I just think about a good memory with somebody I know, like, you know, I remember that, this, that, and third. And, you know, it really helps you get through a lot of things when you just focus on the good stuff. I mean, we're always going to have the bad stuff, but if you give more attention to the good stuff than the bad, overall, I think people will be all right.
Can I share some?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I mentioned this in a previous episode before, or maybe we just in conversation with somebody, but think about not being able to have memories. Think about if we, anatomically speaking, the way that we were developed and built, we weren't capable of producing memories, or of retaining memories, and we continue life forward. How would what that generates within me to ask is, how much would time well spent actually be time well spent? How much would things begin to matter if you can't touch back to them in a way that you can think about them, or still, even in a way, have the luxury to be mad about them? So in a way, as human beings, the way we're constructed, we're already spoiled by design. To think about have make the distinctions and determinations that we do about them. And then even further, we base that on how we end up living our lives in combination on how we were positioned and then what we end up doing with the result that happens. It's like it's two things or a multitude of things that what ends up happening. And so we go into relationships like boyfriend, girlfriend. Teenagers grow up looking for that, trying to become that, trying to, pursue that. But we never had any manuals or anything to really like help us understand yourself first, because you're carrying that baggage. You're giving it to somebody. Figure out where that's going first, where that's been, before you go figure out who you're going to give it to. Because that help a little better. But the memory, think about that aspect, yo. If we didn't have memories, how much it would really actually matter more to connect with things before time takes us all.
Yeah, I mean, it's very important because it's memories will connect to the lessons we've gone through and learned. I mean, and still that for me is difficult because, like, for me, like, majority of my memories have to do with feelings. So, like, I could be sitting there and, like, I don't know, like, I pinched my toe. It directs me to a certain memory growing up, So, like, even if right, and I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist, right? But, like, for me, like, I'll be haunted by that feeling and drive myself crazy because I don't know where it came from. So it'll be torture. But I want to know, is it safe to say, right? And this is two questions, right? And one, safe to say, because of these relationship or basically foundation sometimes for our trauma in life, right? Our good and bad moments we go through, are they foundation for that? And at what point do we start to realize what relationship are more important than others and become significant?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I think it's the moment that you start to reflect. If you don't go through self-reflection at the end of the day or at the end of the week, we're just gonna keep going. We're gonna go and we're gonna get hurt and we're gonna keep getting hurt and we're just gonna accept it. But without the reflection and analyzing, let's just say your day, you don't realize the energies that you have different. It's not just like a straight shot going up. You had a good day. There's different moments in the times where your energies are low, and if you don't sit back and analyze that, you didn't realize that moment that it was low is because it was the people that were around you. And you don't realize that even though it was your brother, your cousin, your loved one, just because of that title that Nick was saying, you're going to override the fact that your subconscious self knows that relationship, there's a disconnect. And it could go on for years without the reflection and analyzing of the different energies and the patterns and it's there. But if I really think that that's the moment that you're going to realize, or if you sit back and you see, like, you invited someone to an event that really meant a lot to you, to have them there and they didn't come, then that's when it's going to hit you in your face if you don't, reflect about it. That's one of the moments where you're going to get to a point where it's no choice but to see that it's a hard pill to swallow, So that's just my first initial thought on that question. Second question.
For me, it's the relationship with yourself. That's where it all starts. Truth be told, it took me years to realize about having a relationship with myself. And I went through my first major breakup years back. And that shit took a toll on me. I ain't gonna lie, it fucked me up. But during that time process, I had to I realized something, and this is something that was told to me with my mom's husband. He said, "You don't have a relationship with yourself." I'm like, "What you mean?" I'm like, "I do."
What
He's
you
like, "No,
mean?
you actually don't." I said, "No, man, I do." I said, "What are you? You know, I'm about to get defensive. Like, what are you talking about?" But he sat there, broke it down, and explained it to me. He said, "You're always doing this. You're doing that. You're doing that. Doing that. Doing that." Like, what are you doing for you? What are you doing within yourself? When do you ever sit there, take the time out to sit there, just actually have a conversation with yourself? When's the last time you did that? And I really started thinking about everything he was saying. And I said, damn, I'm like, yo, he on to something. Like I realized I haven't done that. And then, but that's when I also, it expanded to me realizing I never had a relationship for myself, you know? And so the one thing is, like, if we don't have a relationship for ourselves, we aren't going to understand ourselves, our actions, how we're going to act, you know, our reactions, that we won't understand it because we don't have that inner relationship with ourselves. We don't know ourselves. And I think a person that knows themselves, you know, is better off than the person that doesn't know themselves at all. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where, you know, it all starts from within, learning that relationship within, and you know, you just go from there.
Essentially, like the relationship you should value first the most is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
that's not being selfish.
it's not being selfish because you have to realize too.
It's totally because, and I'm just stating that because a lot of people
Mhm.
hear that it's like you know, you're just being selfish. It's not.
No,
So that's
it truly
ignorance.
isn't, because when you fall, who gonna pick you up as an adult?
Just gonna hug you. Who's gonna love you?
Who gonna hug? Who gonna say, "Get up, you got this"? Like, ain't
Mhm.
nobody there half the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
And when you grow up, you can't expect it from nobody.
yeah. So like I tell people all the time, that's one thing I notice, and I'm like, oh, that's what that means. It's like it's not. It's just like you gotta know yourself, and nobody's gonna care more for you than you. Period.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make yourself go to the doctors. Somebody could tell you to go to the doctors,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not gonna make you. You're gonna make yourself go.
Mm-hmm.
Overall,
Facts.
that's my opinion.
Facts. What about you, Elvis?
Oh, so much. What was the question one more time, brother?
Shit. So it was a two-part question, right? One
Yeah.
was does the relationship, like, is it safe to say uh some relationships we have are foundations of our problems and obstacles in life, right? And the second one was like, at what point do we start uh identifying what relationships to value or not?
Boom. Okay. So, man, I love all of y'all for speaking truth to power, power to truth. It's only gonna work if you're honest, man. It's only gonna work if you're honest, and that's a part of this. It goes deeper. Using onions, you got to keep peeling. It don't just stop with taking care of yourself. It goes deeper about how you're. Remember my first word when we started, complexities. It continues to go, or ties like a string to another challenge or another obstacle that you might have gone through. So, like, for example, I started to understand that I needed to do better for me at 26. Like, it took me going through two divorces to then making my third, where my son was in the way, or not even in the way, but my son was in the circumstance where I was dealing with things. So not only did I have to lose my job, I had to lose what I also identified with as far as like my personal, a home. The entire construct and idea that I built, quote unquote, was all crumbling. And it wasn't because I was doing anything wrong. it was because the way that I built things up to be wasn't a solid foundation, because I didn't understand who I was attracting into my life, why I was attracting them into my life to begin with, and understanding the kind of energy I was putting out into my relationship. A lot of times we focus often on who we bring in, how we take care of ourselves, the type of people we bring in, when we also got to look at who we're coming into places as, who we're doing things as, what things, what kind of things are we associating with or encouraging when we're involved with people, the knowledge that we bring to the table. Because at the end of it all, you're learning to be with yourself so you can reproduce better for yourself over time. So when it comes to those things, it's a matter of understanding more about what you're bringing to a table as who you are, with the things that you learn about you. Not just that, but it's just as important as what it is that you're attracting into your life and the type of people you're bringing in.
Boom. I think when I released this episode, I think I'm gonna title it relationship, right? Relationships. I think people are gonna they're gonna be thinking about one thing, but it's gonna be about another thing. I don't think they're ready to go in, like, and how deep it goes having relationships with people. And that is not sexually, romantically, just relationships in general. I don't think they're they could probably think, oh, that's an episode of they're gonna give advice on how to love and shit like that. And it's not. I went in depth with it to a foundation rather than touch the surface of what everybody's expectations. I think it's very, like I told you, Els, and on the live we did. It's very important to, especially in these days, COVID hit. We're going through a war. COVID is still around. They're telling one thing or another. So important to identify and get to know these relationships we're in, right? To really know who the people around there is. Like, I've always been a person to call you my friend. It's real difficult for me. I'll try to call you buddy, old pal, or acquaintance,
And you'd be surprised at how many people who don't work on themselves are in a position to look like they're in the right, but because of how they react to people without any context, assume that people are doing. Like, if you're dealing with, a mother or a father, and you got to come together to work things to be, around your child. Too many people take that too personally, when in actuality, it has nothing to do with you. It's got everything to do with the foundation that you're supposed to be building for the child at the center that you're both responsible over. So just using that as a minor example, people like to get in their personal feelings. One might not want to call the other or be in contact with the other as often, or relate to the child that they have a parent out there thinking about them and whatnot have you. And then the other might be dealing with aspects of life that they might deem more important, or their child might be more important, and their personal life or professional life might be falling apart. The dynamics can be different for everybody. Yeah. But the point overall is it's never supposed to be about you, because obviously that's done and done with. The relationship, what you're trying to do is find how to work together as mates in this life, as just human beings. And all of that, unfortunately, takes going into yourself. You can't possibly hope to be good if you yourself always carry, like Nick was saying, always carry negative things that just continue to build and only leave you thinking in that way anyways. So you got to really be aware about yourself and really understand how you tick and function.
No, it's facts. Listen, people give me a lot of shit, right? I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. They call, they love to tell me, hit me with if it's not your way, or it's not your way, it can't be done, or whatever. Yep. Yes. I love myself. You know why? Because I'm not gonna put myself in a predicament that's gonna make me unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
I tell yeah, like I tell like listen, there's Dio and there's Diomark Diaz, right? It's Dio is what everybody knows throughout the years and whatnot, and Diomark Diaz is me. I'm very pragmatic. I'm very pragmatic. I could get into shit I want to. The hardest day of my life is trying to not keep a hold on that. It's to keep a hold on that. Tell me sometimes you stress, you just want to fucking go wild and let it all loose. Right? And you can't. And you can't. And you can't because you're hold to a different standard. You gotta know your place. You gotta be an image because people are looking. Right?
There's that degree of responsibility. Yeah.
Exactly. Damn right it is. I love myself too much. People don't understand sometimes that like when I say like people meet me, right, and think I'm cocky and I have all this ego. It's not. I had to force myself, will myself to believe in myself because there was nobody there saying, hey, you can fucking do it.
Self-awareness.
I'm so comfortable alone because that's how people treated me. Right there, boom, to the side. Leaving he's there, right? Because now he'll go wild, he'll go crazy. And nobody will talk to me, right?
You know how many people have both parents and turn out to be murderers.
So like, bro, and that's the shitty part because I'm gonna keep a G. I'm gonna keep a G.
That's
like
true,
you know,
crazy. I'm gonna laugh. That's true though.
No, like I'm gonna keep a G.
I did want to laugh.
I'm gonna keep a G. Like you know, it's all goes back to that expectation. Like the hood are the first one to criticize. Oh, you grew up with your daddy and your mom, and you didn't grow up like me. I'm hard, right? But who's to say you grew up with your mom or dad and you're a saint? Shit. Some people are better off fucking growing up alone than with their parents.
That is true.
Not everybody got their shit together.
No, you want to hear something crazy? This is something my mom tells me. And because I have a total of 3 siblings, right? And I told my mom, me and my mom had a heart to heart. And I told her, I said, Mom, I said, you know what's crazy? I said, even though you raised me and everything, I said, I didn't get that much time with you. Because my brother, my older brother and my sister, they were the 2 trouble ones. Streets, gang shit, all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And I said, they got more attention than I got from you. And, you know, she told me, she said, Nick, I'm going to be honest with you. It hurts that I told her that. But she said, I didn't need to worry about you. She said, for some reason, now my mom, she's Catholic. I'm not religious. I believe in God. I just don't partake in religion. And she said, she always tells me, she said, I didn't have to worry about you. She's like, you got this aurora around you that I know you're going to be okay. It took me a couple of weeks to understand what she meant by what she was telling me. And then we had a whole conversation again. I just said, Mom, I get it now. I said, I love you. But I said, I love you so much. I said, I just wish I had a little bit more time, some little attention. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit, but you know, but I got it. It took me a little bit to really understand it, and I was just like, damn. And that made my relationship with my mother even better than what it already was. And I was like, damn. I said, okay, she sees. Like, even though it may not look at it, she sees what I'm doing. She knows. Like, and to me, that's like a real awesome thing.
You wanna know what's crazy, bro? You wanna know what's crazy? And if they listen to this, they're gonna give me shit because they always do. I'm the one. Everything you just stated right now, I'm the one that actually told my mom that. I didn't go to my mom saying, I understand. No, I was the one who explained to my mom that because my mom has like it's like 4 or 5 siblings, right?
Mhm.
And they will always focus on their siblings rather than her.
Mhm.
And you know, just like you broke it down, it's like I wish I had more time with you. I had to explain to her, you wasn't overlooked or nothing like that. They just didn't have to worry about you. You were considered to be more okay than, you know, these other siblings of yours. You know, and that same thing you explained, you told your mom. Like for me, I feel like I got a certain point in my life that like I understood that. I never told my mom that, but I understood that, and I came to almost an acceptance of like, I'm here for a reason. I'm not there. You know, I'm not complaining I'd have more time with you, blah, blah, blah. But I understand. Sometimes I speak to my mom and I'm blessed because now our relationships are better. Sometimes I speak to her and I just let her vent. And the shit that she has to go through with my other siblings, bro, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and you start getting an understanding. You just like, oh, I get it now.
And I'm blessed
It
because
took
she
a little
doesn't,
bit, but
yeah.
wait, I get it now.
And I'm blessed because she doesn't have to go through that with me. And yet I'm telling you here that I realize that I'm a problematic person at times. Right? So that means something.
Yeah.
It means you don't want to repeat what you went through.
Nah, bro. That's double work. I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
Ew.
And the positive out of that with me is that every time I call my mom, it's never like stressful. It's never this. It's always a good conversation. It's always happy. You know, it's never this. And then she says, yeah, I really don't got to worry. But she said, I'll call you. I know I don't have to, hear no stupid shit or this, that, and third. I'm gonna hear you're gonna tell me something good. You're gonna tell me what my grandchildren is doing. You're gonna tell me what you're doing. You're gonna ask how I am. This, that, and third. You're gonna talk trash. Look, me and her husband. That's my guy, Jermaine. He's a good dude. I love that dude to death. He's a blessing to my mom. He really takes care of her and all that. And me and him, like, she'll be like, yeah, me and him, we'll talk so much trash to each other all the time on the phone. Be like, oh, you a punk this, you a punk that, like jokingly and all that other stuff.
Respectful.
And then when we see each other, like, yeah, what up, and all the other stuff and everything. So overall, like, when we get a certain understanding, I think relationships get even way better than what you could ever thought it could have been, and you're able to have better conversations as well when you get over certain hurdles.
Yeah. Shit. That's 3-4 years I've had the times I spoke to my mom, like I've had these amazing conversations that probably will never have. If I speak for myself, I can't speak for her, but certain things we haven't moved on from. Right.
You notice that you guys, not just y'all, but like all of us. So let me try. Bear with me here. We're all taught the type of love that we do, that we show, that we live. I just heard it out of the both of you right now through the examples that you guys commemorate about the parents that you learned history from. And it's understandable why y'all carry yourselves as such. And the way that I reflected on myself is I didn't have either one of y'all's perspective. I grew up with a parent who was completely opposite of it all. Love was only reserved if she deemed it worthy. Some kids grow up with more love than others because, like you said, Nick, she didn't need to give you as much. I argue that love shouldn't be reserved at all. Love, and that's not something that you can expect your parent to know at the time, of course, but now between all of us, love isn't something that deserves to be reserved for anybody. Love is love is love. If we all understand it to its core, and it's a matter of your actions, and it doesn't matter when it starts and when it ends. It just is when it is. So if you identify it, then you understand that that's a risk you can take or not. Me, I didn't grow up with the love, and for that reason, I didn't understand how to put a limit on it. I didn't understand how to identify what was real and what wasn't. So I had to go through so many trials to then be able to identify what some of y'all were able to do that I wasn't at an earlier point in time. But what that left me with more of is more of like the thick skin to be more open, because I kind of know what to expect at this. Like I learned the love that I get at home because I had no choice but to learn, because I opened myself so much, not knowing I wasn't supposed to do that to begin with. And so it's so interesting. That's, in a way, I can understand why I would be more welcoming of someone into my life who might have done me more wrong, where you'd be more stoic and reserved in your decision. But then also Nick would be, you would be cautious, tread carefully.
Yeah, you proceed with caution on that.
And this is what I, if you're gonna preach anything in life, man, preach, patience, preach, control your emotions. I tell people all the time, you should ignore your emotions, but you should also try not to let them control your life.
Elle, that speaks to me a little bit, because you had to grow up with the dynamic of religion in the household that I also grew up with in a couple different religions. As a matter of fact, I won't point them all out because I'm not trying to out my family. You know what I'm saying? Parents tend to do that because they don't know anything different. They understand a structure that was there. And we're not in, like, if we're looking back on our parents' times, guys, they weren't like in the kumbaya era to share knowledge, and we're all kings and queens and royalty. Weren't about that vibe yet. So that obviously to them, it was more about the golden watch era. Get to the job, do what you got to do, pay me my money. If that was the case. Outside of that, you got the gang violence that we all deal with, the losses, the lives, the impacts, everything that comes into play later, where we learn to associate that life means way more than just the black and white.
Yeah, and that's why I said, you gotta do your best to be in control of your emotions, right? Because everything I preach is because I'm fucking using it, I'm living it, right? So as going back to you as a parent, like it's some, I'm overwhelmed sometimes that sometimes I don't catch myself being mean to my son, and yet it's not fair to him. He doesn't understand. So I have to be in tune, some type of self-control and patience, because he's watching. That's what some things that parents and growing up, we were not understanding, is that they're watching us.
First lessons.
They're watching us. So you got to be in your best behavior. You got to show the best version of you can.
Ooh, the best version that you wish you had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's trial and error, because sometimes I'll be fucking overwhelmed. I don't mean to come off that way. And I got to sit down. I got to go to this level, and I got to apologize, hoping he forgive me, hoping that he'll understand. But that's something I didn't have. I tell, it's like Nick, right? Nick is an incredible father. He's a man raising two beautiful young daughters. I wish I can be half of the man that Nick will be, right? But Nick has a responsibility that he can't bring any woman to his life. Nick has to be the man that he needed when he was growing up for these girls.
Wow.
You know why? And I use an example because they're watching. If I don't try to be the best version I can be, then what am I doing? I'm better off not being here, because I'm just causing another trauma, another insecurity, another shit that I don't want to. But as long as I'm here, I'm going to keep trying. And that's all you got to do, is trial and error, because patience doesn't come overnight. Patience you gain it through trial and error, to overcoming obstacle, to understanding shit in life. And not trying to be right or wrong. You don't need to be right or wrong. All you need to do is understand. because everybody has their own perspective and own views and own values.
If my son to hate me, I have to be okay with that. But I'm not gonna just let him do it without me giving my best foot forward first. Why? Because my father did it for me, and I'm more open to loving the man regardless. So what I'm saying with that is my action to want to care, I have to make sure I live that as well. So that my son, when he sees me, oh, well, you weren't forgiving of your dad, so why should I forgive you? I'm setting up a generational curse that I may not even be aware of.
You gotta break that cycle.
Forgiving, unfortunately, is never about me. Forgiveness is about breaking generational curses.
Do your best to be present. Always do your best with phone call, video. Always do your best to be present. Because fuck it. I said some shit to my parents like, that hurtful. They might fucking bite me in my ass, right? Shit. Karma's a bitch. I'm gonna tell you that much.
If I could say something.
Yeah.
True. I want to say something about Deal, what you just said. I agree with what you just said, but I just want to tweak it a little bit.
Go ahead.
About controlling your emotions. If you could just shift it to say regulating your emotions, because if you control your emotions for the sake of your kids, you're trying to control the situation too. But regulating is just allowing the emotion to go, right? Because I would say emotions last 90 seconds. If it's lasting more than that, you're controlling it. You're trying to sit with the emotion.
Yeah.
But regulating it is allowing it to flow. And in order for you to become okay with it is communicating to your son, or your kid, I was not happy with what happened. I'm not trying to teach you how to parent. I'm just saying, it's just an example of allowing the emotions to go, and not trying to control the emotion. Like if you're angry, be angry. And I know you're a black and white person, but that was just a little bit in the middle.
No, I feel I understand and I agree. But when I say control about your emotions, I mean in the sense there's people that in life in general, they're if they had a bad day, they let that shit ruin their life and ruin their week.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And I'm glad you're bringing this up, so I'm able to express it, for be more understandable. Like when I say there's people that there's literally people that didn't get their packages one day, and that's it. They had a whole fucking bad day.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? And that's what I refer when I say don't let your emotions. You got to be in control of your emotions, because certain things in life it's not that serious, but you got to be at your best. And some people tend to break down and yet again, and I'm still wrong, because I can't expect people to have all my capacity. That's what I'm open to be wrong and to be do better in understanding. But at least
we're thinking the same. We're thinking the same thing. It's just I guess my definition of control is different from yours. That's all. But it's the same thing. Just allowing the emotions to come. And don't let it sit there. Don't let it fester. But yeah, Elvis, I grew up the same as you with the love. I had the tough love, and I think it was a cultural thing. And because of their belief, I actually had no love, I guess. It had to be earned. And so I thought that was kind of crazy that you brought that up, because I grew up and I gave everybody love, and I think it's because I wanted love back. And for a little bit, for most of my life, actually, I was a people pleaser up until a couple of years ago when I decided, enough is enough. So that was pretty cool that you brought that up, and it was some great insight for me. So yeah.
Peace, Queen. Oh, and Deal had said something about this a second ago. Negativity is always at its best. Why aren't you? Us, all of us. Why aren't we? Why wouldn't we? Negativity, you realize, notice, Every time it comes, it's perfect. It did everything it needed to be as shitty as it needed to be.
Yeah.
Why didn't we prepare and not prepare for the specific one, but prepare for the fact that it was just coming at all? Like niggas,
I think, you know, and I'm doing my, you know, like I said, I could be open and be wrong. I don't know. But from my perspective, you know, it's, you know, you live a life giving things labels. I had a bad day rather than look at it. You just had a day.
Mm.
You know, then you go have a good day. You gave it a label. It's a good day. Now your next day, you want to, you know, go a little bit higher than your expectation. You know, and for me, I try not to give labels to my days. It's just a day. Just a day. You know,
It is what it is.
yeah, I measure, you know, try to measure your days of, you know, this day I smiled a little bit more. It helped me bring the next day with a little bit more energy. But because of that day before, right? And they say the day after it's worse, but because you have that energy and you didn't give it a label, you just, you know, you're just living life.
It's a grand day every time I get to see all of you.
Yeah.
Just know that.
I appreciate that. You know, y'all done said day so many times. The song came up in my mind. Just one of them days. I forgot who sang it, but I forgot who sang that. I'm like, just one of them days. Like, just
I mean,
in
it's
my head. I'm like, dang, I forgot about that song.
it's all we can do, you know. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, but you continue to give it these days labels. Like it's gonna, instead of you running your life is running you. Right?
Yeah.
So like just, you know, do what you gotta do, live your life. It'll be all right.
Like one of the best things that I learned that you could do as you go through life is never put nothing behind you. Never put nothing behind you. Because as you walk forward in life, if you look back, it's always going to be there. But if you put it to the side and you continue walking forward, when you look left or you look right, it's not going to be there. That's one of the things I was taught at a young age, and it took me a while to truly understand what that meant. And, you know, when I really understood, I think I was like, say about when I had my second daughter and she was like 20, I was like 23, 24, I think. I don't know what age it was. But yeah, just all that stuff, man, just put it to the side, keep moving forward. You'll never see it again.
Live your life learning how to be. I just thought of this, what you were saying, Nick. I grew up, if I could encompass school in a way, I grew up understanding that supposedly that question always needed to have something at the end of it. Or not question, but that sentence. Learn to just blank. And I grew up struggling, trying to fill that gap up with things that I wasn't built for. I couldn't fit in. I couldn't even understand. You keep naming it. Only to realize I don't even know what human is. I don't even know who Elvis is. This was when I was going through that trial. Man, if they could just start there and not teach you just anatomy, but teach you that we don't exactly know how we function and come to be, but we're trying and we're being honest about that much first. And if we're just honest on that fundamental level, we can be more open and more welcoming to confusing thoughts and questions. Because a lot of people don't even get to want to ask things because of the embarrassment or the pride, or, you know, the inability to distinguish all these things that we just sat here for an hour and really broke down. And so it takes a level of humility and it takes a level of want in your self-awareness to want to figure these things out. It's so much, man. That's why I love this topic, because when you think about it, it's all you got. You all you bring to every situation. So why not work for the best ways?
I agree.
It goes back to what Nick was saying about having a relationship with yourself. It's very important.
Yeah.
Nick is on roll tonight.
Yeah.
You definitely dropped some knowledge today.
Dude, I love this this relationship, this conversation about
But
relationships.
yeah, and it's not what you thought it would be, right? Those
So I think you should put a question mark at the end of it just
relationships,
to make just to make it even more interesting.
relationships.
Relationships. Hmm.
We definitely talked about some the foundations of relationships.
Yeah. And then you know something that's funny, and the more and more I think about it, I think sometimes we don't realize that as we grow and we have children, even if we don't have children, but the people we are surrounded by, we start building some type of foundation based off our actions
Mhm.
and everything, and people learn from it and they grow from it as well. Like even if whether it's good things they see that we're doing or it's bad stuff. I mean, I hope we're not doing bad stuff, but you know, there's people out there that does bad things too, and it builds a foundation, and it gives them that blueprint. All right, well, he's doing this, doing that. Or, I'm
It
gonna
gives
do
them a
this,
starting
make it
point.
better. Yeah, so yeah, I think, and it's like I think we all said it. You know, our actions too. You know, that builds the foundations into what our children will see, our siblings, and everybody else that's around us, whoever they are. And so it's definitely good to put out good energy because we can build great foundations just by putting good energy out there alone.
Yeah. But
And I hope better.
in order to build that, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
We need to talk about it.
Very true.
You know, we can't come in trying to be right or wrong. We just got to talk about it and try to understand one of those perspectives.
Open conversation.
Yeah.
There's already school for everything else. There's no 101 class for relationships, for emotions, for self-awareness, understanding, and literally the core thing that you're doing with everything else that you're learning in life.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense fundamentally to not have these topics and conversations.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's like I go to therapy, a therapist and everything. I like this woman so much. She made me realize a lot of things that I did not see before. And that's insane because like I thought I knew it all as far as like within myself and certain things. And she made me realize more. She opened my view. You know how you figure, oh, well, I already know this already. It's like this. So you're going to just think of it this one way. She took some of the things that I thought about and showed me a different way to view it. And I'm not going to lie. My jaw just dropped and I was just like, damn. I never thought about it. So yeah, open conversations, understanding, hearing people's different perspectives and things in general. Like if you're willing to do that as a human being, you could accomplish so much in general. You could definitely accomplish a lot in general.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks. Anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. It's been an honor having this special conversation with each and one of you. Before we go, let the people know where they can find you at. What's up with you, Nick?
You can find me on Instagram, Nick Espinosa _215. You'll see everything I do.
Elvis.
You can find me on Instagram as well, official _EJM. That's official _EJM. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Boom. There you go. Els.
You can find me on Instagram at Own the Struggle. Own the Struggle.
Boom. All right. Have a good night, guys. I'm out.